This is Arkansas 11, KTHV, Little Rock.
The controversial abortion bill had been sent directly to the Senate without recommendation for the purpose of hearing expert testimony. So when senators began introducing amendments to water it down before the testimony was heard, the debate got heated.
The point is that we have traditionally in this body abided by the rule that if any one senator in this body raised the point that it was not on the desk for 24 hours, Mr. President,
the senator who had introduced the bill to ban abortions after the 23rd week of pregnancy made a strong effort to block the amendments. Senator Luther Hardin urged lawmakers to wait for testimony from doctors tomorrow.
And they're going to show you how its back, how its body just breaks up, and the legs come off, the arms come off, and then they go in with the, see, the head won't go through the little vacuum. It won't quite go through. So they have to go in with the precepts, and he's going to take those precepts, and he's going to clamp them down to that little skull that's just crushed. And then it'll vacuum through the hose, and that's at 12 weeks. And you've got 19 weeks on your desk.
After all the debate, the Senate was able to add 3 amendments. One would exclude victims of rape and incest, another if the fetus is determined to be congenitally malformed, and the other banning abortion at 6 months instead of 23 weeks. Expert testimony on the controversial abortion bill will go before senators tomorrow. That's also when the vote is expected on this legislation, with today's heated amendments attached. Mike Browning, 11 Action News at the State Capitol.
The judge's latest decision on the Grand Gulf matter was a case of good news and bad news. The bad news is that Arkansas will still be expected to pick up some of the power plant's tab. But the good news is that the state won't have to pool its generating plants with the Mid-South Utilities System. Had that been the case, rate hikes could have been even larger.
This law judge has now totally rejected a so-called system average costing. That was a theory that would have required us to pay for a third of the power plant down in Louisiana as well as the Grand Gulf plant in Mississippi. I thought he would make that decision, but still it's relieving to know that he's done it. The bad part of it is that he reached out to say that he thought, too, that we ought to pay for a third of the plant in Mississippi.
The federal body is rejecting arguments that Arkansas should be exempt from paying. The commission feels Grand Gulf was built to serve the entire Mid-South system, and AP&L is very much a part of that system.
That means that these people that work for FERC, these federal employees, have just decided that they ought to stick us with the Grand Gulf plant because they think our rates ought to be as high as the rates in Louisiana and Mississippi.
Following the latest decision, it still appears Arkansas will have to pay for at least some of the Grand Gulf power plant. What's not clear at this point is whether or not a final FERC decision will come while the legislature is still in session. If that happens, watch for the real political fireworks to begin. Joe Quinn, 11 Action News, Little Rock.
Today we're going to take a ride with Ben Thompson, a driving instructor with 31 years experience. His advice can help you maintain, especially during times of emergency when a matter of a few seconds counts. Before you begin your journey, Thompson says there are several safety recommendations that will help you reach your destination.
Have your car warm, minimum of a half a tank of fuel, an extra blanket. Give the people a route that you're going to take from point A to point B.
Thompson says if you have a front-wheel drive car or a regular automatic transmission, leave the gear in second for ice and snow. And he says drive defensively, avoiding tunnel vision.
Tunnel vision I'm speaking of is that when a person's concentrating so hard on looking in front of them that they fail to realize what's happening around them. Your eyes should be scanning for anything that moves so that you don't have to hit the brake very hard.
This is a situation most motorists fear, locking your brakes, resulting in a slide. But Thompson says you can defeat a slide by staying calm and using good judgment.
The first thing is to let off of the gas and steer into the slide. Never yank the car like this. Steer into it gently.
And finally, Thompson says the best tip for driving hills is to stay in the outside lane, avoiding the center lane, which is considered a high-impact area.
Because if we're going 30 miles an hour, hit a car coming to us, like this blue one, and he also is going 30 miles an hour, our speed upon impact is 60.
Thompson says if you observe these safety tips, your chances of avoiding weather-related accidents will greatly improve. Larry Brannon, 11 Action News, Little Rock.
It's been a long road to the top for Mika, but now the hard work is paying off. You see, Mika is the #1 ranked open weight division judo athlete in the United States, and he's just days away from the biggest meet of his life, the Pan Am Games.
In judo, we train as amateur athletes for the ultimate, which is the Olympics, and then below that's the World Games, and below that's the Pan Am Games. So this is a Western Olympics, if you'd like to look at it that way. My forte is the throwing techniques. Judo is split up into several different areas. We throw, we choke till the person either gives up or goes out unconscious, if you will. We do arm locks, person gives up, or sometimes, unfortunately, the arm snaps, and hold downs. Like I said, my forte is the throws. I like to do, maybe it's because they're more glamorous. You can drive the person into the mat at 80 miles an hour. There's a certain feeling of, I'm reluctant to use the word fun, but it is a nice experience.
At age 29, you might think the 1988 Olympics is out of the question for Mika, but instructor Gary Norton says most Olympic champions have been in their early 30s.
I don't think it's would be uncommon at all to see Mike have a good shot at making it 1988. And looking at the competition he has in the United States right now, there's no one coming along that really can challenge him that I see coming up the younger guys.
So look for the name Mike Mika to be around for a long time in the world of judo. Max Morgan, 11 Action Sports, North Little Rock.
He has been called the great communicator. Tonight his forum will be the State of the Union address, his stage the United States Capitol. This man will deliver the Democratic response. Not yet 40, Clinton has been elected governor 3 times already. The national party leaders like his image. His Democratic roots run deep.
It can be the majority party again in the country if it's really responsive to the legitimate needs of the people and has a real credible economic program.
Tonight will be Republican versus Democrat, age versus youth, wealth versus a modest background. A man with his final campaign behind him, a man with many campaigns ahead. Bill Clinton is certainly no stranger to publicity, but tonight's TV appearance could be his greatest national exposure to date. In one sense, he's somewhat cautious about that. At times in the past, he and Dale Bumpers have been criticized for their national profiles.
To be honest, I thought about it a little bit, but the reason I decided to do it is that first, I think people down here, I think, are more likely to think I've kind of paid my dues now. I've been defeated and I've been reelected, and I've tried to do everything I could to help our state.
Clinton says at times in the past he has been a leading critic of the direction the National Democrats were taking, but he now says that when his taped message is played for the nation tonight, it will reflect a changing party.
And I sense it's changing now. I think that in changing through Congress, it's changing among the governors, it's changing at the local level. We're moving this party beyond both its own past and where the Republicans are now.
Clinton says he is an older, more seasoned Democrat than the man the nation saw deliver an address at the 1980 Democratic National Convention. A party looking for new faces will be closely watching Mr. Clinton's performance tonight. Joe Quinn, 11 Action News, Little Rock.
Together, we can pass this year a tax bill for fairness, simplicity, and growth, making this economy the engine of our dreams and America the investment capital of the world. So let us begin. And I ask again that you pass, as 32 states have now called for, an amendment mandating the federal government spend no more than it takes in. And we only have a military-industrial complex until a time of danger, and then it becomes the arsenal of democracy.
Thank you very much.
The Democrats brought their version of the State of the Union address to Americans in a pre-produced program narrated by Governor Bill Clinton. The film came across somewhat as a public confession of the party's past mistakes, with a vow to reform in the future.
This is a party that knows it has to change, a party that wants to reach out to all Americans, Democrats, Republicans, and independents. Because the strength of the Democrats has always been in the diverse grassroots of our nation, we have to begin there, listening to the people.
The Democrats criticized many of President Reagan's decisions and policies. Referring to the national deficit, they warned the political finger-pointing must stop. The president must assume partial responsibility for the deficit. Clinton added his party is willing to work with the president.
There's enough blame for all to share and enough work for all to do. Now let's get on with the job.
Clinton said the Democratic Party is the one Americans have always looked to for creative ideas, and indicated their ideas will be the ones for a more prosperous future. Kim Ross, 11 Action News.